Welcome to the 2020 Interfaith Solidarity March LA. You've been watching highlights of the 2018 and 2019 Los Angeles Interfaith Solidarity Marches. We will be starting this year's virtual march right on time at 2 p.m. Stay tuned, everyone.
Our different religious traditions are the languages that we use in order to express our faith, but our faith is all the same.
The real strength is here, that we're coming to this same mountain from all these different paths.
And now, after many months of planning and lots of blood, sweat, and tears, here we are, our third annual Interfaith March LA, and the fourth such march in the greater LA area within 3 years.
I thank you today for getting together and making this effort, making it visual to the community and also to each and every one of us that we don't stand alone, that we do share the same understanding and community. And for that, I give God's thanks to all of you for being here today.
Whose people? Our people. Whose people? Our people. Whose justice? Our justice. Whose justice? Our justice.
The people united will never be defeated. The people united
will never be defeated.
Our streets.
Our streets.
May we continue to respond to the call to join our sisters and brothers of different faiths when they most need our solidarity. This is not the time for us to merely pray and hope for peace. Times like these demand action, marching.
This is what democracy looks like.
Hey,
hey, ho, ho! Bigotry has got to go!
I believe that love will win!
I believe that love will win!
Whose streets? Our streets! Whose streets? Our streets! I believe that love will win! I believe that love will win!
I believe that love will win!
I believe that love will win!
I believe that love will win!
We uphold each person's right to choose their religious beliefs and affirm that no one has the right to force religious, spiritual, or philosophical beliefs upon any other person, either by physical force or by any other means.
We keep wondering what is going to change. We keep wondering why things won't stop. And sometimes we tend to forget how much power we have.
In this historic moment, God is calling upon each and every one of us to be loud and to be bold and to stand in solidarity with all of our brothers and sisters.
This confluence of events has confirmed for me the existence of a benevolent, intelligent higher power with a plan. We in this room and in this movement are crucial to the survival of the human race. Thank you for participating in this movement and in this march. Drive on.
To those of us who have joined us early, welcome to the 2020 Interfaith Solidarity March LA. You've been watching highlights of the 2018 and 2019 Los Angeles Interfaith Solidarity March. We'll be starting this year's virtual march right on time at 2 p.m. in just 10 minutes. Hang on tight, folks.
Hello everyone, my name is Geoffrey Manasseh, the country coordinator of URI Malawi. I just want to wish all my friends who do marching, interfaith marching actually, all the best for this year. Although we are in heavy task of COVID-19, but I know we are going to do a small scale marching wherever we are. I wish you all the best, and Malawian teams are ready now to march it, this coming month. Thank you and stay blessed.
Hello, my name is Miss Achan Sylvia. I'm an activist, a founder director of Golden Women Vision in Uganda. I would like to wish all my sisters and brothers around the world health, peace, and prosperity, and joy and safety, and to encourage them in their interfaith activities. I wish for sure to meet some of you in the nearby future. Thank you so much.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Muhammad Jamus. I'm a Palestinian peacemaker living in Jericho, Palestine. I'm 30 years old and I studied business administration at Al-Quds Open University in Jericho. My work as peacemaker is to coordinate programs, interfaith events, peace journeys, and intra-Palestine peacemaking events to build the peace movement as a key representative of the non-profit organization the Abrahamic Reunion, which is a partner in the multinational Interfaith March for Peace and Justice. Last year, the March for Peace event was in Bethlehem, in Palestine, in the city of Christ, and it was one of the most successful and wonderful programs in Palestine because the large numbers of the participated in the event, which affected and touched the hearts of all who were. My work conveys the message of love and peace in the Holy Land to all the world, despite the difficult and great challenges that we face in the Holy Land during ongoing conflict between Arab and Jewish. But when our hearts are filled with hope, love, peace, and harmony, we will overcome these challenges and achieve peace in the Holy Land and in all the world. Thank you so much.
So friends, we're making the world smaller, and we're really making the world safe for democracy. Not with guns or bombs, but with love and friendship. We're marching to ensure that wherever there are strife and human rights abuses, someone knows that we are watching, and that we are standing in solidarity with those who suffer, with those who desire peace and justice, and with those who are people of any faith, all faiths, or even no faith. All people of conscience and goodness. And we are responsible to administrate and help coordinate the now 24 marches that are holding their events alongside of us today in their own areas of the world. In Jammu and Kashmir, in Tel Aviv, and in Bethlehem, this is the largest coalition of interfaith marches in the world.
I want peace. Peace on the streets, peace in the homes, peace in the schools, and peace that passes all understanding.
We have to be as smart as we are passionate. There is no other planet for us to turn to. Greed kills not only the innocent, but also the ones for whom nothing is ever enough. Whether we like it or not, we are one people on one planet. That's how we win.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
What do we want?
Tolerance, peace, and justice.
When do we want it?
Now!
We won't simply be who we were, but we'll become the next breed of people who can really not only save the planet, but save each other.
Bienvenidos y bienvenidas, amigos y amigas. We are happy to have you here to share this declaration with our feet, walking the walk in support of justice and solidarity and our shared humanity in a world where we are so divided.
We sing on our way to freedom. We shall not be moved.
What do we want?
Tolerance, peace, and justice.
When do we want it?
Now!
We showed that people of all faiths walk in unity toward the same goal. We seek to have far-reaching and long-lasting effects in helping the world to mature to a more peaceable, tolerant, and just place.
We're all here as one, to be strong, to be diverse, to be plural, and to be united.
You don't have to become who I am to understand and respect who I am. I encourage each and every one of you to clear any fear of the other from your heart.
If you look at it, you see a dot. On it, everyone you've ever heard of, every human being who ever lived out their lives, the aggregate of all joys and suffering, thousands of confident religions, ideologies, economic doctrines, in the history of our species, lived here on a mote of dust, suspended in a sunbeam.
Tolerance, peace, and justice!
Good afternoon, everyone. We offer this raga, Rag Charukeshi, as a prayer for courage in what's to come in these very challenging times. So this is a prayer for encouragement that we may all come together, all peoples, no exceptions. Thank you very much. God bless you, everyone. Remember, Soul Force is active nonviolence. As Reverend James Lawson says, I am not a pacifist. I practice active nonviolence. That's the most powerful weapon for change making. God bless you all. Thank you for being here and supporting.
Namaste.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 5th Annual Interfaith Solidarity March, coming to you live from beautiful, albeit somewhat smoky, Los Angeles. My name is Peter Martin, and I'm a political science student at Loyola Marymount University. Today, I have the honor of being your Master of Ceremonies for this event. Today's virtual march was opened by the masterful Paul Livingstone and musician Alma, Cielo. I want to thank them for sharing their amazing musical skill with us and for the beautiful pieces they just played. And thank you as well to the children of the New Horizons School at the Islamic Center of Southern California for cheering us on during this virtual event. In the chat, we'll be posting information about each speaker or performer or other important information to keep an eye on in the chat. Right now, I'm going to post a link to the event program. You'll be seeing polls pop up periodically throughout the event. We'd love to see your responses, and we'll share them with you too. The first poll is right now. Where is everyone watching this event from? Go ahead and fill that out while I introduce our first speaker for today's event. Be sure to close or minimize the poll once you're done so you can see the next speaker. Our first speaker is someone who personally inspires me in my studies at LMU. And I'm not just saying that because he's one of my professors. I say that because he is the founder and head of the Institute for Religious Tolerance, Peace, and Justice. It's his dedication to foster understanding and dialogue between all religions that is the driving force behind not only this Interfaith March, but now dozens of interfaith marches in countries around the world. Everyone, please welcome Dr. Arik Greenberg.
Thank you so much, Peter, for that introduction. I want to welcome everyone to the 5th Annual Interfaith Solidarity March, Los Angeles. This is the first march that we've had virtually since our inception in 2016, so this is new ground for us. But we've come a long way since we first began to plan our marches in the fall of 2015, and we wanted to ensure that we honored the work that we've done and kept marching despite the COVID-19 pandemic. Our marches have always seemed to get better every year, even when the conditions present challenges. In 2018, we joined with a larger community of marches called the Interfaith March for Peace and Justice, or IMPJ. And I know there's a lot of alphabet salad here, so bear with me with all these letters. The IMPJ, which at the time had 18 autonomous member marches across the US and around the globe. The following year, we proudly became the corporate umbrella for that community and subsequently helped spearhead 24 simultaneous member marches around the world in 2019. Through this collaboration, I have met and worked with some incredible people, and I would like to thank them for partnering with us, helping to make this the largest coalition of interfaith marches in the world. Now this year, in spite of the pandemic, some of our member marches abroad have chosen to plan for an in-person march since their countries have recovered more quickly than ours, but they are still practicing good social distancing. For instance, in Lilongwe, Malawi, they are having 2 separate marches in different locations so as not to have too high of a concentration of people in one place. Uganda, Pakistan, India, and others are also coming together in person as they are able. You viewed several recorded messages of encouragement and greetings from some of their leadership prior to the start of this program today. And I hope that you'll send them our regards and your wishes and your love and support. Now, while other locations have decided to go virtual, some locales found it tedious to deal with the technology of moving their marches to an online platform, and so they are joining us from their locations for one big combined event. The more the merrier, I say. And one group in our family, the longest running interfaith march in the United States, the Philadelphia Interfaith Walk for Peace and Reconciliation, already had their annual event this spring through Zoom and paved the way for virtual activism during the earliest stages of the pandemic, demonstrating that you can still work for peace even while practicing social distancing. And thus many of their members will be joining us for our event today, and I want to welcome them. Specifically among them will be Aziz Nathoo, who is one of the key members of the Philadelphia group, who will share a few words with us about the importance of our global interfaith community. Therefore, I want to welcome our friends from Philadelphia, Ventura County, Wyoming, and many other places around the United States, specifically who are joining us by Zoom to march with us here in Los Angeles, virtually so. We have an impressive lineup of speakers and performers today sharing their message of peace and hope with you. During these times, some may find it a little bit but we have enjoyed their support and their presence every year since the start of our march. And since we are focused on peace building and reconciliation, we felt the need to ensure that certain crucial voices be included in the discussion. A lot of people have worked very hard on this event, and I am so proud to consider them friends and teammates. I want to thank them all for making this event happen. There were also many people who offered to speak today, and unfortunately, we were not able to include everyone in our lineup of speakers. And so we thank them for their kind enthusiasm, and we have invited them to be on camera here with us today as panelists, even though they're not speaking. And I'd like to thank them specifically and recognize them along with our guests of honor, some of whom are speakers from previous years. I would like to acknowledge and recognize Michelle Koch, who is the Executive Director of the Muslim-Jewish Solidarity Committee, Manak Bujwala, a priest of the Zoroastrian faith, one of the oldest monolithic religions founded by the Iranian prophet Zarathustra. Ibrahim Naim of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, who is director of Voting Initiative and represents the Alliance for Absolute Justice. And lastly, LAPD Captain Patricia Sandoval, Olympic Area Commanding Officer, who spoke for us in 2019. So thank you to all of them for being present and supporting us this year and in previous years. Without further ado, I would like to introduce Aziz Nathoo, a key member of our partners in Philadelphia, and I hope that you all enjoy the program of uplifting and inspiring speakers and performers we have put together for you.
Thank you, Arik. You are a rock star. Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon y'all. Good afternoon and greetings to all from Tanzania, where I'm originally from, and currently from Philadelphia, where we started our peace walks known as the Interfaith Walk for Peace and Reconciliation in May of 2004 through the streets of Philadelphia, and we have marched on since every year, rain or shine, on foot or online, and we have grown from strength to strength, celebrating our diversity and walking for peace and justice and reconciliation. Our mission has been to facilitate peace, justice, and reconciliation by engaging faith groups and communities in dialogue, reflection, and action. Our vision has been to nurture a transformative process of reflection, relationship building, and action. Through dialogue, community service, outreach to religious and ethnic groups experiencing intolerance or persecution, and be the keepers of our brothers and sisters. I'm sharing some wisdom from my faith tradition, Islam. In our scriptures, the Holy Quran, we're instructed that we are all created from a single soul and dispersed from then on. In chapter 49, verse 13, we are told, "O mankind, indeed, we have created you from male and female and made you peoples and tribes so that you may know one another. Indeed, the most noble of you in the sight of Allah is the most righteous of you." It is through events like these that we have come together, get to know one another, learn from one another, bond as a human family, born of a single soul, united, not divided by our differences, and extend love to all of humanity. Thank you so much, Arik and the organizers. My dear brothers and sisters, I send love to you. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you.
A big thank you to Dr. Greenberg and Mr. Nathoo for kicking off our event. Their work in the interfaith community and to develop events such as these has been indispensable. Our next speaker, we are honored to have one of our city leaders who has been working with the interfaith community for many years. Everyone, please give a warm welcome to the Los Angeles City Controller, Mr. Ron Galperin.
Good afternoon. I'm Los Angeles City Controller Ron Galperin, and I'm so pleased to join you. Thank you, Dr. Greenberg and the Institute for Religious Tolerance, Peace, and Justice for bringing us together for this virtual march. These are indeed challenging times, as we all know. COVID-19 has claimed the lives of 6,000 in the LA area, nearly 200,000 nationally, and nearly 1 million across the globe. We've seen unemployment skyrocket. We've seen businesses shuttered. We have schools and religious services and marches that are being done remotely. We all witnessed the terrible killing of George Floyd and others and the protests and the unrest that followed. Now wildfires burning throughout California and western states. And we have a very contested presidential election just weeks away. So all of these are a real challenge to religious tolerance and to peace and to justice. And there are many reasons, let's be honest, that many people are feeling a combination of anxiousness and worry, maybe some anger, tired, isolated, uncertain. These are all very natural feelings to be experiencing during this time in which we are living. So I believe that coming together as we're doing right now is more crucial than ever, to affirm and to reaffirm the universal values of faith of humanity, of love, of caring for one another, to affirm our interconnectedness, our interdependence. And what we have on this call, I was noticing as I was scrolling through the Zoom, it's wonderful. We've got commissioners of our city of Los Angeles, those who are associated with the new Civil and Human Rights Department of the city of Los Angeles, which I'm very proud that we have created. Our police chief, thank you so very much for being on this call. That says a tremendous amount about the city of Los Angeles, at least, that I get to represent. But I know that it can be disheartening to witness the increase in hate speech and hate incidents we've seen. And we've seen political leaders who seek to demonize and to separate us instead of bringing us together, seeking to demonize the other, be they people of color or women or Jews or Muslims or immigrants or members of the LGBTQ plus community, anyone who is different. And we are here to say that is wrong. And we are here to say that there are values of faith that are so much more important. I'm an optimist. I draw strength from my family history and from my background. My father was a Holocaust survivor. He had a lot of reasons to be very doubtful about the human condition, but always looked to the future, even unto the last of his 96 years. And his experiences affirmed for him the need and the ability of all of us to do good in the brief years that we have on earth. And there's also the tradition of Judaism in which I was raised, one that stresses tikkun olam, which means repairing the world, making it better, embracing the humanity in all of our fellow human beings. And these I know to be universal values of faith by all of the communities of faith that are represented on this Zoom call, but all throughout the world. And together, I believe we can conquer narrow-mindedness and ignorance and set aside divisions in favor of unity. My hope is that this difficult period will bring us closer together, will increase our bonds of solidarity, will help us to find a deeper understanding and appreciation of our friends and those who may not be our friends, those who are like us and those who may not be like us, because we all share that bond of humanity. So thank you again for having me this afternoon, for the great work you are doing to unite us all in tolerance, in peace, in justice, and may your work be blessed. Thank you.
Thank you to Mr. Galperin for representing the city of Los Angeles at today's event with that powerful speech, and for being an ongoing supporter of the interfaith community in our city. Joining us for the first time, our next speaker is the first African-American presiding bishop of the Episcopal Church. You might also recognize him as the preacher who delivered a powerful and spirited sermon at the wedding of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. Having pre-recorded a special message for this Interfaith March, everyone please welcome Presiding Bishop Michael Curry.
Hello to all of my brothers, sisters, siblings who gather together on this Interfaith Solidarity March. It is a joy and a privilege to bring you these greetings and a word of welcome and a word, I pray, of hope. My name is Michael Curry, Presiding Bishop of the Episcopal Church, and I bring you greetings from the Episcopal Church. There's a story in Matthew's Gospel where a lawyer comes up to Jesus of Nazareth and asks him, what is the greatest law, the greatest teaching in all of the legal edifice of Moses? Jesus reaches back to the Hebrew scriptures and he quotes from Deuteronomy and Leviticus and says, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. This is the first and it's the great commandment. But the second is just like it, like unto it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. And then the master added, on these two, love of God, love of neighbor as self, hang all the law and the prophets. That was a profound way of saying that the way of love, love of God, love of neighbor, love of self, love is the supreme law of God. And if it's not about love, I don't care how religious it sounds, if it's not about love of God, neighbor, self, then it's not about God. For love is the very way of God. Whereas the New Testament says God is love. And love is the way of life and hope for us all. It is for us the supreme religious law. It is the supreme human law. It is the supreme way to life for us all. This way of love can set us all free. This way of love can lift us all up. This way of love can show us the path to healing and wholeness and life abundant meant for all. Dr. King once said over and over again, the closer he came to his death, we will either learn to live together as brothers and sisters, or we will perish together as fools. The choice is ours, chaos or community. And then he would add that the way of unselfish, sacrificial love, a love that seeks the good and the well-being and the welfare of others as well as the self, this way of unselfish, sacrificial love, it is the way that will save and help and heal us all. But do not be dismayed or fooled. This way of love is not a sweet, soft, saccharine, sentimental way. Love, as the Song of Solomon said, is more durable, is stronger than death. Because this love comes from the very heart of God. And in our work of racial justice and racial healing and racial reconciliation, this way of love calls on us to face hard and difficult truths about our lives, about ourselves, about our collective history. Truth must be told. But truth by itself is not enough. When truth is heard, told, and acknowledged, we must then learn from it. And then, having learned from it together, then we must decide how are we going to act to repair the hurt and the harm and the pain that has been done. How are we prepared, if you will, to redeem the past? We can't go back and do it over again, but how are we prepared to redeem the past by creating together, all of us creating together a new future? That is how we move from the chaos to community, from the nightmare to God's dream. To speak truth, to learn, and then to act to repair and create a new future. That is the way of love that can heal our land even now. But if you don't believe me, maybe you'll believe Maya Angelou, who said in her poem On the Pulse of the Morning, and I quote, "Say to the Asian, the Hispanic, the Jew, the African, the Native American, the Sioux, the Catholic, the Muslim, the French, the Greek, the Irish, the rabbi, the priest, the sheik, the gay, the straight, the preacher, the privileged, the homeless, the teacher, that history, despite its wrenching pain, cannot be unlived, but if faced with courage, need not be lived again." Love God. Love each other as the children of God. And while you're at it, love yourself. This is the way of God. And this is the way of a just, humane, and healed future. God bless you. Amen.
Thank you to Presiding Bishop Curry for recording that special message for us about love and for representing the Episcopal Church at today's event. Before I introduce the next speaker, would you like to see the results from the first poll? Let's see where everybody's been watching from. Once you're done looking at the poll, feel free to close and minimize it so we can continue with the event. Let's move on to our next speaker. The Islamic Center of Southern California has been a supporter of the Los Angeles Interfaith Solidarity March since its inception in 2015. Their work to foster dialogue and understanding with Muslims and the Islamic faith is known around the Southland. Representing the Islamic Center of Southern California, please welcome Ms. Hidab Tarifi.
Assalamu alaikum. May God's peace and blessings be upon each and every one of you. Thank you all for joining us today in this virtual march. I pray that you are all staying safe and healthy in these unprecedented and difficult times. Indeed, these are difficult times. A COVID-19 pandemic that almost has no end in sight. Fires that are raging through our state. Hurricanes that are ravaging through several other states. Earthquakes, tornadoes, floods, and the disasters are almost hard to keep track of. Racism that is staring us in the face, endangering people's lives everywhere. All these added to the anxiety of what is coming next. You might think I'm being negative. Well, I might be. I'm simply sharing the facts, but I am looking beyond them. I don't know about you, but I'm hearing God Almighty's calling up upon us. God is sending us messages, one after another. God is telling us, see my signs, adhere to my commandments. You are entrusted with one another. You are entrusted with this earth. Let us look beyond how each and everyone prays. Let us look beyond how each and everyone dresses, be it religious garments or uniforms. Let us look beyond the color of our skins. God had a reason for our differences, for us to learn from one another, for us to flourish this earth. Let us not be Cain and Abel. Let us learn from the one story. Let us learn from the story of one who sadly killed his brother. Let us be like the one brother who said, no, I won't fight you because I fear Allah. I fear God. I might be preaching to the choir here, talking about those participating in this march. Because for 5 years, we've all been committed to stand by in solidarity with one another, respect and protect, work together to protect our earth and protect our community. People of faith, people of spirituality, lay people, the police, everyone. Let us go out and spread the word of God's love. Peace will not be attained unless we love one another. No one is perfect. Only God Almighty is. But we sure can work to image His attributes of being kind, forgiving, compassionate. Let us start by humbling ourselves, giving one another the benefit of the doubt. Let us extend our hands with love and compassion and ask others the same. Let us unite in the face of hate. Collectively, we can. If not eradicate hate, at least let's work on stopping it in its tracks. Let's read the urgency in God's message. Each and every one of us should commit to stepping up and stepping forward. Be accountable to God and ourselves before we demand accountability from others. Only then we can lift the hurting, uplift those are down, give peace, and spread peace. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you to Ms. Tarifi for her touching words and to the Islamic Center of Southern California for their ongoing support of this event. Let's move on to our next speaker. The Los Angeles Police Department has participated in every one of our interfaith marches and has supported our mission for peace, understanding, and change. With recent events, we feel it is even more important that dialogue for reconciliation and peace building continue. Our next speaker will address the long-standing need for partnership between law enforcement and the interfaith community, as well as his vision for positive change within our city and our world. Everyone, please welcome Chief Michael Moore of the Los Angeles Police Department.
Good afternoon, Peter, and my thanks to Dr. Greenberg, and it's my pleasure and honor to be part of the 5th Annual Solidarity March for Los Angeles. And I also want to thank Captain Trish Sandoval. I know she was the speaker last year, and she's with us today as the captain of the Olympic area in Mid-City, Los Angeles. As Controller Galperin indicated, these are very turbulent times. We have so much as a city, as a country, as a world to deal with this COVID pandemic, the uncertainties of its death, its destruction, loss of life, loss of economies, and just destabilizing so much about what we have. And today it is such a privilege to be with an interfaith council of faith leaders from all walks of life, from all beliefs, who come together in unity to help us understand in these turbulent times where peace, where satisfaction, where growth, where humanity how we can come together. This is important also, not just this health pandemic that we are in a crisis, not just the wildfires, but this past summer we saw with the death of George Floyd, the renewal of calls for justice, for equity, that racial inequalities in America, many times at the hands of law enforcement in our past, including that of the Los Angeles Police Department, has called for true and lasting reforms. I'm as a leader of the Los Angeles Police Department, encouraged, recognizing that our history, that we have been a part of some of the worst and darkest days of Americans' history. We as a department have also been a leader across American policing and reforms and historic strides of ensuring that the inequities of the past are addressed. We recognize our history and will not be stuck in it. Our commitment is to reforms, to further inclusion, to ensure that diversity is a hallmark of our agency, both inside of us as we're made up of men and women, of people from all race and creed and color, and that we're representative of the communities that we serve, and that we're sensitive and aware of our history and their history in those communities. As we move forward, I want to ensure every person here that with our efforts to increase transparency, to ensure accountability, to ensure that our men and women respect the dignity and rights of each individual, that all of us share in that role. I also, as we look forward, you look to where LAPD is going, I want you to look at our actions, not just our words. Last year, we closed with the fewest number of officer-involved shootings in more than 30 years, a 45% reduction. That is a direct result of the training, the commitment, the values of our organization, and ensuring that our reverence for life is a guiding principle as we go about our work each day. Our partnerships in our communities is represented not just by the presence of our people in these neighborhoods, but by our strategies such as Community Safety Partnership Bureau, the establishment of 10 different programs across the city that are made up of men and women who are committed to neighborhoods most impacted by violent crime over the decades, and that their presence in those communities for a 5-year period is to build lasting relationships of trust, that to improve public safety, that lowers crime, that lowers the instances of arrests, and builds trust in the very police department that I am proud to serve as a chief. Moving forward into our next chapter, we face many uncertain times together. And there's, again, as has been referenced by other speakers, much violence and much concern. I would ask for this group to continue to work together to find avenues that promote peace, that promote conversation, that promote respect and dignity, and promotes progress as a group, as a human existence. We have to look past, and we can't look past our differences, but we must look at them and find ways to get past them, and to find that we have so much more in common And so thank you for this opportunity to speak today, to be a part of today's important Solidarity March, virtually or otherwise. All of us are here in our presence, but also our spirit, and I'm grateful for this opportunity. Thank you again, Peter.
And thank you to Chief Moore for those words and for his presence at today's event. I hope everyone has been enjoying our virtual march so far. We have a lot more great speakers coming, so stay tuned. At this time, we're going to launch our second poll of the day. We're very interested to hear what you thought about what Chief Moore had to say. Make sure to close or minimize the poll as soon as you're done so you can get back to watching our great speakers. But for something a little different, we now have some powerful Afro-funk fusion music. Please welcome the talented Bridget Graham and the all-female spirit band, Adawe.
Hi, everyone. My name is Bridget Graham. And too bad we can't be together in person, but next best thing, we're at this beautiful event together, and we'll be presenting New Day, a video that hopefully uplifts you. And first, I just want to say, let's give thanks and praise to the ancestors and the newly born. They renew and lift our spirits. They fill us with the words and wisdom of the unseen world, the profound essence of a child, the purity and the promise. That is a new day. So enjoy the video. Thank you all.
Shangazi, tutafika lini?
Bado kidogo.
You said that 1,000,000 years ago.
You can do it. You're strong. And one day, when you're even stronger and bigger, you will be so happy you walked this path.
Why, Auntie? Why will we be so happy?
You will be so happy because you will know where you have come from. And this will help you know where you are going. Okay?
Okay.
Okay?
Chikululwe nuliwa samba samba, sambila wa sambuka lubilanje. Chikululwe nuliwa samba samba, sambila wa sambuka lubilanje. Dilapinye, dilapili baba benga, dilapinye, dilapili baba benga. Oh, dilapinye, dilapili baba benga, dilapinye, dilapili baba benga, benga, dilapili baba benga, benga, dilapili baba benga, benga, dilapili baba benga, benga, dilapili baba benga.
Oh yeah, yeah, mama way. Ay, 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 ay.
There's a golden path before us, paved with light and laid with hope. There's a train that we can ride on. Get on board, get on board. Dressed in white in fields of flowers, skies are bluer than we knew. And we stand on sacred ground now. We have awakened, awakened.
It's a new day. Samba samba, sambila wa sambuka lubilanje. It's a new day. Samba samba, sambila wa sambuka lubilanje. It's a new day. Dilapili baba benga, dilapili baba benga. It's a new day. Dilapili baba benga, benga, dilapili baba benga, benga, dilapili baba benga, benga, dilapili baba benga, benga, dilapili baba benga.
Oh, the time has come. We have walked through troubled waters. We have reached the rite of passage, and our spirits have rejoiced. We have followed in their footsteps. I can hear a distant drum calling hard to open
Thank you all.
A big thank you to Bridget Graham for her kind words and to Adawe for that beautiful music. We've had some amazing speakers, presentations, and entertainment, and we have more coming up soon. I hope everyone is enjoying our virtual march so far. If you joined us late, be sure to watch the chat for extra information about the speakers and performers, as well as other important information. I'm going to repost the Interfaith March program right now for everyone to see. Moving on to our next speaker. The Sikh community has worked closely with and supported the Interfaith Solidarity March for many years. For those who attended our marches in previous years, the march often concluded with an excellent catered meal courtesy of the Los Angeles Sikh community. Unfortunately, we can't have that this year. We are still excited to welcome our next speaker, the Executive Director of the California Sikh Council. Please welcome Mr. Narinyan Singh Khalsa.
That was a totally amazing video. I want to know how I'm supposed to follow that. I'd like to really thank Arik and his most amazing crew for inviting me again, number one, and for putting together such a terrific event. We describe this virtual march we participated today in as an interfaith solidarity march. Solidarity means that our relationships to and with each other must become rock solid to withstand the tidal wave of lies and divisiveness that is on our. If we fail to stand by the bloc in this country who no longer think that mutual true standards, we will at best cease to function as a house of freedom to the world, and at worst, lose this beautiful experiment we call America altogether. It's already too late to avoid some levels of violence and chaos. How far we allow this to grow and take over depends on us. Those of us who know what is going on is wrong can no longer sit by hoping it will change. It's only the action of those who believe in love, compassion, and true freedom that we can start to move back the moral compass of this country to a place where all are welcome and cared for. We must fight until we can all live together on a level playing field where race, nationality, gender, or gender identity cannot be used to cheat a person out of equal and compassionate treatment for all. As we join here today, we're proving that people of all faiths, all races, all genders and gender identities can work together to build a better America and a better life for all. It now lies with us to spread and grow the message of love, understanding, equality. Bad, and they're going to get worse. But remember, tough times don't last, tough people do. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Mr. Khalsa for his presence today and for his words on solidarity. Our next speaker couldn't attend in person, but sent a poignant video on behalf of the Baha'i Faith. Please enjoy this short but thoughtful video from Mr. Randy Dobbs.
Good afternoon. My name is Randolph Dobbs, and on behalf of the Los Angeles Baha'i Center, I'd like to share a few words from the Baha'i Sacred Writings. The fires burning out of control here in California and all along the West Coast are symptomatic of a world completely out of balance, both figuratively and literally. In the Baha'i Faith, we believe that we cannot segregate the human heart from the environment outside us and say that once one of these is reformed, everything will be improved. Man is organic with the world. His inner life molds the environment and is itself also deeply affected by it. The one acts upon the other, and every abiding change in the life of man is the result of these mutual reactions. Well, as bad as the multipliers are that are burning in our forest, perhaps even worse, are the hateful fires burning in the hearts of men. The Baha'i writings state that when a thought of war comes, oppose it by a stronger thought of peace. A thought of hatred must be destroyed by a more powerful thought of love. Thoughts of war bring destruction to all harmony, well-being, restfulness, and content. Thoughts of love are constructive of brotherhood, peace, friendship, and happiness. Like everyone else, Baha'is are fighting this tridemic of the coronavirus, the disease of racism, and a cancerous materialism undermining the very fabric of society, not just here in America, but threatening humanity all over the world. We believe that there is only one race of people, the human race, and that if we're going to win the battle against this tridemic, we have to work together in unity. Whether you're in a rural area of the country or in a global city like Los Angeles, the best way for people to find out about the Baha'i Faith is online at www.bahai.org. I'm very pleased to join you on this virtual march for interfaith solidarity. Together we can make a difference. Together, in unity, we can identify spiritual solutions to the heartbreaking problems that confront us all. Thank you.
Thank you to Mr. Dobbs for taking the time to send in that powerful video. I hope everyone is enjoying the event so far. Before I introduce the next speaker, I'm going to launch our next poll to see which speakers you've most enjoyed and most learned from. If you support the work done by the Institute for Religious Tolerance, Peace, and Justice to promote interfaith dialogue and education about religion as a pathway to world peace, I want to invite you to donate as much or as little as you would like. In today's world, which is focused on disagreement, discontent, and divisiveness, it's really important to support efforts to bring together sides, different sides, to create understanding and harmony. That's what the Institute for Religious Tolerance, Peace, and Justice does. Even a few dollars, the cost of just a Starbucks coffee, goes far to help our programs around the world. Information on how to donate will be posted in the chat. Thank you, and we appreciate it. You're also welcome to volunteer as part of an Interfaith March planning committee. It doesn't require that you are an expert in event planning or religions. It does require hard work, but the gratification and appreciation you get is well worth it. Moving on to our next speaker, this is the first year in which we have the honor of having a representative speak on behalf of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Everyone, please welcome Mr. Surya Das.
Thank you very much. I'm very humbled by the request to be able to speak here at your Solidarity March and feel honored to be part of it. In our ancient Bhagavad Gita, it stated, Bhoktaram Jagatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Suridam Sarvabhutanam Gyatpamam Shanti Richati, that there's a peace formula that was given thousands of years ago to Arjuna from Lord Krishna. Krishna is the name for God in Sanskrit. And Krishna spoke to Arjuna that when one sees God is the enjoyer of our sacrifice, that God, Krishna, is the proprietor of all planetary systems, and that God is the well-wishing friend of all living entities, that person can attain peace. Peace doesn't mean we segregate more. Peace means there are no boundaries. We integrate more. Peace means that we understand why we're working, who we're working for, and what our real friend is. So on this very auspicious day of interfaith alliance, we reach out to all faiths to join us in our common goal of serving and understanding God, and through God, our relationship to all other human beings. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mr. Das, for that thought-provoking speech and for representing the International Society of Krishna Consciousness at this Interfaith March. On to our next speaker. The Church of Scientology has been a supporter of this march and helped as part of the Interfaith Planning Committee for the past 3 years. This year, they really stepped up to the plate and helped to make this event a big success. We're proud to have them speaking on pre-recorded video for the first time in the history of our march. Please enjoy this video with Ms. Tiana Mincy.
Hello, welcome to the Church of Scientology of Los Angeles. My name is Tiana Mincy, and I work here in this historic building with an incredible team of Scientologists helping our local community. I just wanted to say what an honor it is to be part of this event with you and with so many distinguished speakers. First, I wanted to tell you a little bit about this historic building. This building I'm standing in front of is the original Cedars of Lebanon Hospital, which opened in 1930. These buildings are classic Art Deco masterpieces. You can see this building's distinctive bold lines, symmetrical structures, and sculptures that were influenced by contemporary artists of the 1920s and 30s. We bought this building in 1977 after Cedars of Lebanon became the Cedars Sinai Hospital and moved its current location. What's great is how much work has been done and continues to be done to restore and highlight the beauty of this Art Deco building. After you. So this is our main reception. Normally you would see an inflow of people coming in and out of here at all times of the day, but due to the current COVID-19 health orders, we are not servicing parishioners inside the building. Therefore, you will just see a few essential staff who are here servicing public remotely or preparing for our reopening. We are walking through the Scientology Information Center. A lot of people have questions and are curious about what we do. Most churches of Scientology have free information centers where you can come and walk in and watch a short video, have a cup of coffee, and find out more information about what we do here without even taking a Scientology service. Next, we're going to go to field activities. Hi.
Hey, Tiana. Welcome to Field Activities.
Thank you. This is Betsy Davis, and we are currently in Field Activities. This is where the Church of Scientology does most of our work in working with other community organizations and different city officials. Betsy's in charge of this area, and she's going to tell you a little bit about what the church has been doing during these difficult times.
Absolutely, and I'm actually really happy you came by. One of the things I wanted to let you know is we've been doing so much for the COVID-19 pandemic. Even before we had the stay-at-home orders, we had some disaster response specialists come in and actually talk to people to let them know what they needed to do to keep themselves healthy, keep their families healthy and safe. Then when things started to shut down a bit, we started visiting all of our neighbors because we wanted to make sure that they were doing well. So we checked on them, brought them supplies if they needed them, that sort of thing. Then when everything really got closed down with the stay-at-home orders, we realized we wanted to do something a lot bigger. So our church actually printed 5 million of these booklets. It's called How to Keep Yourself and Others Well. It's a non-religious booklet, but it has all sorts of information on the inside that you can use to keep your family safe, to keep your house clean, to keep yourself from getting sick. So these were really incredible. And here in Los Angeles, we actually distributed 300,000 of them all throughout the city. And we went door to door, bringing it directly to people who didn't want to leave their home, which is understandable. So that really created a really big effect, and hopefully we kept a lot of people from getting sick, which is what we really wanted. And since that time, we've actually been helping a local charity called the Immigrants Charitable Foundation. And they've been providing food to families that need assistance at this time. 170 families once a week come and they get food boxes. So we've been helping pick up donations of food, packing the boxes, and then bringing them to these people once a week. So we've been continuing with our community work throughout the whole time period and just helping as many people as we can.
Thank you so much, Betsy. That's
Absolutely.
Great. Now we're going to be heading to the chapel. This is our chapel and our event space. Here we hold a number of different events, from graduations to naming ceremonies to Sunday services. And we also make this space free and available to other like-minded community groups that would like to hold their own events. I thought it'd be appropriate to end our tour here and to share with you the Creed of the Church of Scientology as written by L. Ron Hubbard. Here it is.
We of the Church believe
that all men, of whatever race, color, or creed,
were created with equal rights.
That all men have inalienable rights
to their own religious practices and their performance.
That all men have inalienable rights
to their own lives. That all men have inalienable rights
to their sanity.
That all men have inalienable rights
to their own defense.
That all men have inalienable rights
to conceive, choose, assist, or support
their own organizations, churches, and governments.
That all men have inalienable rights
to think freely, to talk freely,
to write freely their own opinions,
and to counter or utter
or write upon the opinions of others.
That all men have inalienable rights to the creation of their own kind.
That the souls of men have the rights of men.
That the study of the mind
and the healing of mentally caused ills
should not be alienated from religion
or condoned in non-religious fields.
And that no agency less than God
has the power to suspend or set aside these rights, overtly or covertly.
And we of the Church believe
that man is basically good,
that he is seeking to survive,
that his survival depends upon himself and upon his fellows,
and his attainment of brotherhood with the universe.
And we of the Church believe
that the laws of God forbid man
to destroy his own kind,
to destroy the sanity of another,
to destroy or enslave another's soul,
to destroy or reduce the survival of one's companions or one's group.
And we of the Church believe
that the spirit can be saved,
and that the Spirit alone may save or heal the body.
Thank you to Tiana Mincy for that informative video and for the ongoing support of the Church of Scientology. Our next speaker is someone who has spent his valuable time as a part of the committee to organize and produce this event. So it's a special honor that he has also taken time to talk with all of us today. Everyone, please welcome author, attorney, journalist, and progressive Christian, Mr. Rich Proceed.
Thank you, Peter. And I want to thank the Institute for Religious Tolerance, Peace, and Justice for the honor of speaking, especially now in this troubled time. I want to point out that religion is politics. The role of religion in the modern world was to govern, to reflect the will of the gods, often personified in kings and emperors. Religion appeals to an authority greater than the state. In the modern world, that authority is the voice of the people. The battle against authoritarianism is the central struggle of humankind. From the ancient world to recent protest movements, the right to govern ourselves is at the center of humanity's quest for freedom, justice, and equality. Ideology, like theology, can be used to control and manipulate people. We have true believers in ideology and cults of personality. Cults are not limited to religion. There are self-help, business, and political cults too. Many worship their political leaders and believe everything they say. They are willing to believe obviously false things and are easily influenced by political propaganda. We are, in fact, all under the influence of propaganda. French philosopher Jacques Ellul wrote that propaganda gives us assurances equivalent to those formerly given us by religion. It offers us a simple and clear, albeit false, explanation of the world. We actually need propaganda to help make the chaotic world intelligible to us. We are surrounded by propaganda and cannot help but be influenced by it. Propaganda can be defined as the systematic dissemination of information designed to influence people's opinions, beliefs, attitudes, and behaviors. Advertising, political messaging, and some media, news, and entertainment are all forms of propaganda. Those shooting or running over protesters are under the influence of propaganda. Those who vandalize and burn public buildings or who hurl rocks and water bottles at police think they are fighting fascism. They don't believe they are hijacking the movement and giving the opposition ammunition to use against us. We are true believers in political dogma. To be woke is not to believe in certain things. It's to be aware of what's going on, how we are being manipulated, and when we are uninformed or mistaken. Ideology is the theology of politics. Politics, like religion, can be used to divide us. Religion, like politics, is about building community and learning to live with one another. Or not. Thank you.
And thank you to Mr. Procida for those thoughtful words on the intersection between theology and politics. For our next performer, Mr. Dwight Tribble is a jazz musician with a twist. He likes to call it spiritual jazz. In this next presentation, Dwight Tribble and his friends perform The Creator Has a Master Plan by Leon James. I'm sure you'll all enjoy it.
There is a place where love will always shine. Rainbows are the shadows of the love divine. And the glow from that light light up the sky above, and it's free, and it's free. Come with me, come with me, come with me. Oh, come with me, come with me. The Creator has a master plan, peace and happiness for every man. The Creator has a master plan, peace and happiness for every man. The Creator has a master plan, peace and happiness for every man. Whoa, peace. That's what we want. But right now we need justice. We want all of our rights. We want them here, and we want them now. We want all of us to be one, because that's what we all are. We are all one spirit, not only in the United States, but all around the world and all throughout this universe. Every last one of us, all the same, we all are connected. We all are one. And I know that you know what I'm talking about. That's the sin of our good people, is to not say nothing and to sit by and watch it happen. And that makes you culpable. So it's time now. Now is to never, 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 never let that happen again. Let's make a change. Let's make a change right now. Let's make a change. Right now. so that we can get back to these beautiful things that we playing about, talking about right now. We talking about love, peace, love, peace, where everybody's recognized. You know, it don't matter when we ride by and we see all these people laying in the street and laying down and they ain't got a roof over their head. Guess what? They are just as important as all of us. All of us. All of these people. When you see them laying down in the street, know that they are just as important as you. Everybody's important as you are. And I know you think a lot of yourself and your life. But everybody on this whole planet, in this universe, the Creator has a master plan. Oh, the Creator has a master plan. Oh, peace and happiness for everyone. Oh, the Creator has a master plan. Oh, the Creator has a master plan. The Creator has a master plan. 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 A master plan.
Thank you to Mr. Dwight Tribble and friends for that performance of Leon Thomas's The Creator Has a Master Plan. Let's move on to our next speaker. The Institute for Religious Tolerance, Peace, and Justice works to bring understanding and dialogue between all faiths and views about life and God, or gods, or belief in no God. Our March community has benefited greatly from the contributions of our humanist friends. Mr. James Whitker has been a supporter of the Interfaith Solidarity March for years now, and we are very, very happy he could speak to you today. Please welcome him.
Good afternoon. It is so good to see you all, and I just want to express my profound appreciation and gratitude for everyone who is participating, and especially to Arik, Melissa, and the Planning Committee for persevering and making it happen under these circumstances. The UU Community Church of Santa Monica, of which I'm a member, has been involved in the struggle for peace and justice in our community for many years, and its members have been proud to support this event from its inception several years ago at a time of sadly rising intolerance and racism in our country, when we could all see how needed it was. Peace, like democracy, I think, is hard work that is never finished. Unitarian Universalism draws on wisdom from many traditions as it aspires to a better world, and one that has been influential to our movement and in my own path in life is the philosophical tradition of humanism. While a modern phenomenon as it's known today, humanism traces its roots from classical Greek philosophers through Renaissance and Enlightenment thought to radical religious and social reformers in the early 20th century. Seeking knowledge from an evolving understanding of the natural world, mainly through science, and deriving ethics from empathy and a compassionate engagement with human experience and human needs. Humanism is a life stance that is important to a growing number of Americans who don't affiliate with an organized religious tradition, including those who may also identify, say, as agnostic or atheist, etc. But to be clear, the commitments of humanism, whether secular humanism or congregational, communitarian humanism, are affirmative. The inherent worth and dignity of every person, the close kinship of all people and all life down to the shared DNA in our cells, the imperative of sustaining the precious gift that is our living planet, the blue boat home on which we all journey together, in the words of a popular Unitarian Universalist hymn. And as I look out at the sickly pall hanging in the sky over the entire West Coast, Right now, I wonder actually if science is something that can help to further unify us all in our diversity. Despite their differences, our faith traditions in their own ways call us to integrity and right relationship with what is ultimately important. Surely that includes reverence and humility before the vast power of nature, whether it is revealing itself via the massive wildfires supercharged by a swiftly warming and drying climate, or the virus smaller than any mortal eye can see that is upending our best laid plans for civilization. With so many lives and futures at stake here and around the world in these difficult times, it's my hope that the interfaith solidarity that we continue to build together will help realize a just and healthy world for all people. And with gratitude, I look forward to working with you all to that end in the future. Thank you.
A huge thank you to Mr. Whitaker for that valuable speech and for representing humanism at our Interfaith March. For our next speaker, the Founders Church of Religious Science with its iconic round house of worship has been a regular stop on previous marches. Reverend Dr. Arthur Chang, their senior minister, has always moved us with his sermons. Please enjoy this year's virtual visit to the Founders Church of Religious Science with this pre-recorded message from Reverend Dr. Chang.
Hello, Interfaith family. I'm Reverend Dr. Arthur Chang, Senior Minister of Founders Church of Religious Science, a center for spiritual living. As the son of a Chinese father and a Black Jamaican mother, I feel Providence has called me to feel a special sense of unity, love, and respect for all people. In religious science, although grounded in the Christian Judaic tradition, we recognize the differences in religions as primarily the cultural ways humans have come to know the divine, and that God of the universe is the God of all people. Today, even as COVID-19 greatly challenges us, a far more insidious danger is rampant among us, a virus of the soul called prejudice. This deadly soul virus manifests itself as systemic racism and religious and other forms of intolerances. Founders Church has always stood for inclusivity. Evidences of this are portrayed by the circular forms of our building and the mural above our choir loft called The Wisdom of the Ages, showing the symbols of the major religions of the world. Founders Church, designed by Paul Revere Williams in 1960, was added to this year to the National Register of Historic Places as an architectural monument. Paul Revere Williams, a gifted Black child, was asked by a teacher what he wanted to be when he grew up. Paul immediately said, "An architect." The white teacher, perhaps meaning well, said, "Why would you want to be an architect? Your people cannot afford those kinds of building, and you will still have to go to the other people to get work." Paul did not let the impact of racial prejudice deflect him from his dream. About 5 years ago, the American Institute of Architects awarded the gold medal for excellence in architectural design posthumously to Paul Williams. Imagine how many promising seeds of hope and talent that have been thwarted by prejudice and systemic racism. In addition, think of the many people that have been killed primarily because they were Black. As an interfaith group, we're giving birth to a new inclusive vision of humanity. Welcoming all people has been the nature of our church. In closing, if this era seems dark at times, the real promise of daylight will come from the illumination of our unity and compassion for all humanity. Let us have the courage, love, and faith to know we are the dawning of this new day. God bless.
Thank you again to Dr. Reverend Chang. We hope to have the opportunity to visit your church in person in marches during future years. Born to a Hindu father and Sikh mother, our next speaker has a truly unique upbringing and view on life. but it was following the 2012 Oak Creek shooting of a Sikh temple that he focused his efforts on interfaith literacy and dialogue. Please welcome a true friend to the interfaith community, Mr. Tahil Sharma.
Thanks so much. Namaste, everyone. Thank you for this introduction. I'm here representing Sadhana, a coalition of progressive Hindus. We are a community across the United States that stands for a progressive interpretation of Hinduism, which stands for Ekatva, the oneness of creation, Ahimsa, nonviolence, and Seva, service to all of creation. In a time of many simultaneous pains, in a time of many simultaneous movements, and in a time of many communities continuing to suffer, we see what Mr. Randy Dobbs said before as literal, metaphorical manifestations of fire. There's a fire around us and there is a fire within us. But we have to be careful that this fire does not burn us alive, that it does not burn our bridges, and it does not burn our world. We have to focus on the reality of systemic racism. We have to emphasize the need for the care of creation by focusing on environmental sustainability and calling out the realities that are climate change and global warming. We must continue to be in a space of channeling this fire that could burn us alive as an energy that renews us for the long run. So I challenge you all to focus on these three things. First, be uncomfortable. There's a lot of time to be divisive. There's a lot of time to argue, but there's not enough time to keep us all afloat. We are all in the same storm and in our many boats, and it does not help us when we strike each other's boats down. Be ready to be uncomfortable. Be ready to learn, and be ready to appreciate each other's knowledges and experiences to be able to find sustainable and comprehensive solutions. Two, be ready. There's a lot of energy coming up from an election to movements that are addressing bigger issues to our own personal experiences and livelihoods being at stake. Be ready with the energy that you need to say you need to take a step back from when issues are getting to you, from when your communities are struggling, and you need to be able to focus and rejuvenate yourself. And third, channel that fire to be a light. We're not looking for a light at the end of the tunnel anymore. We're the light that illuminates the tunnel. We're the light that makes a difference. We're the light that can see us through with righteousness, compassion, and justice for a future of peace we haven't seen before. We need creation to do better. We need to do a better job. And I want to end this session of mine with a prayer to really manifest this flame, which is in Sanskrit. Om Shubham Karotu Kalyanam Arogyam Dhanasampadah Shatru Buddhi Vinashaya Deepam Jyotir Namostute Deepam Jyotir Parabrahma Deepam Jyotir Janardhana Deepam Haratu Me Papam Deepam Jyotir Namostute Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let the light of each of our lamps illuminate us for justice, and let it continue to bring us together in an effort for a better world. Thank you.
A big thanks to Mr. Sharma for those words and for his continued efforts towards interfaith literacy and dialogue. On behalf of the Planning Committee, I just want to take a moment to thank the almost 200 people who are here watching with us today, as well as all of our panelists and attendees. You are making this unusual event truly special, and we are so grateful that all of you are here. Now, let's move on to our next speaker. We've not had many representatives from Zen Buddhism at past interfaith marches, so it's a special treat that our first Zen Buddhist speaker is the founding teacher of the Western Zen Circle. Let's welcome our next speaker, Mr. Ryoshi Kip Ryodo Holly.
Good afternoon, everyone. Very happy to be here with you today. I thank Dr. Greenberg and everyone with the IRTPJ, I love these alphabet soups, for their efforts in bringing this online march together, as well as our inspiring speakers and performers. As a musician, I really appreciate our top-notch performers today. I'm here today as a lay teacher of Zen Buddhism. The word Zen means meditation or concentration. Therefore, we are a stream of Buddhism that places open-minded and open-hearted meditation at the core of our spiritual practice. Today, we march for peace and unity among all faith traditions in our family of humanity. Now, I see these traditions like spokes on a wagon wheel. All begin at the ineffable center and all reach out in their own unique forms to save the suffering beings of our world. In Buddhism, we call this dukkha. That is the whole purpose of Buddhism, is ending this suffering we call dukkha. At the hub of the center of the wheel is, notice that it's empty, therefore infinite and inclusive of all. In Buddhism, we have an archetype of compassion, also known as a bodhisattva, that we name Avalokiteshvara, also known as Guanyin or Kanzeon. Avalokiteshvara is sometimes depicted in art and sculpture as having 10,000 hands and eyes, representing the ability to help all beings, everywhere, all the time. There's another aspect of this many hands, many eyes bodhisattva. It also represents an embodiment of our shared reality. One body with infinite hands and eyes made up of all of us. So your hands and eyes are Avalokiteshvara's hands and eyes. My hands and eyes are Avalokiteshvara's hands and eyes. All together, we are this one body and spirit. Now, when we identify with this unified whole, compassion just naturally arises. And we find that it really is just common sense. Just the way one of your hands carefully bandages the other when it gets cut, we find ourselves carefully helping those that we usually refer to as others when they are in need. Other individuals, members of other faith traditions, other genders, other races, other nationalities, all are part of our shared one body. So let me thank you all in our one body for joining our march today. Let us all open our hearts and minds and allow the natural compassion of our shared one body to inspire us as we live together, pray together, meditate together, and support one another. Please take very good care.
Roshi Kip Ryodo Hale for being this march's first Zen Buddhist speaker. It truly is a privilege to have you with us. We're going to launch our last poll for this virtual march. Don't forget to close or minimize the poll when you're done answering it. We'd love to see what you think. Our final performer for this afternoon is a musician by profession, playing at events, churches, and weddings all over the Southland. He's going to be performing a couple of songs that you might know, so feel free to sing along. Don't worry about singing out of key. No one else can hear you. Please enjoy Rex Perry.
Okay, here we go. Please do sing along. These are very familiar songs. It's a little bit funny, this feeling inside. I'm not one of those who can easily hide. Don't have much money, but boy, if I did, I'd buy a big house where we both could live. If I was a sculptor, but then again, no, or a man who makes potions in a traveling show, I know it's not much, but it's the best I can do. My gift is my song, and this one's for you. And you can tell everybody this is your song. It may be quite simple, but now that it's done, I hope you don't mind, I hope you don't mind that I put down in words how wonderful life is while you're in the world. I sat on the roof and kicked off the moss. Well, a few other verses, well, they've got me quite cross, but the sun's been quite kind. When I wrote this song, it's for people like you that keep it turned on. So excuse me for getting, but these things I do, you see, I've forgotten if they're green or they're blue. Anyway, the thing is, what I really mean, yours are the sweetest eyes I've ever seen. And you can tell everybody this is your song. It may be quite simple, but now that it's done, I hope you don't mind, I hope you don't mind that I put down in words how wonderful life is while you're in the world. I hope you don't mind, I hope you don't mind that I put down in words how wonderful life is while you're in the world. Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, I say it's alright. Little darling, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, I say it's alright. Little darling, he sees the sunrise slowly melting. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, I say it's alright. Sun, 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 here we come. Sun, 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 here we come. Sun, 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 here we come. Little darling, I feel that ice is slowly melting. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been clear. Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, I say it's alright. Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, I say it's alright. It's alright.
A big thank you to Rex Perry for that wonderful performance, and another thank you to the children of New Horizons School at the Islamic Center of Southern California for cheering him on. Let's move on to our next speaker. Last year, Pastor Patricia Strong Fargus gave an impassioned speech about faith and the people of her community. Her care for others is also evident by how many community organizations she is a part of and how many families she feeds each week through her church. We are extremely lucky to have her passion back again this year. Please welcome her.
Hello, this is Pastor Patricia Fargus, and I am really excited about being part of this great march, and I wanted to share my faith because so many things have been going on. As we know, the economic struggles that we face during this pandemic, the health disparities that we face in our communities, the impoverished communities, and systematic racism with marching and protesting. And also we hear about police reform. We hear about just the other night of the two sheriffs being ambushed. And we hear so much about hatred, oppression, climate change, fires, and just so many other circumstances. So I came on today to give you some uplifting views on unity, that we need to come together as one. We're facing so many circumstances. And the answer to our problem starts with a heart change. The heart change, the freedom to love one another, to establish safety protocols for all communities and respect other cultures and address and correct disparities for all citizens. I just think about some of the mentors that I listen to, and I think about who have fought through times like these. Just like our own Congressman John Lewis. He says, nothing can stop the power of a committed and determined people to make a difference in our society. Dr. King, I always think about his dream. He said, I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the contents of their character. Then I think about my friend Nelson Mandela. He said, no one is born hating another person because of the color of his skin or his background or his religion. People must learn to hate. If they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love. For love comes more naturally to the human heart than its opposite. Then my friend Mother Teresa says, there is a famine in America, not a famine of food, but of love, of truth, and of life. And then my friend Gandhi, he says, let us work together for unity and for love. Yes. My faith, my God tells me that we need to step out all this wrong and support the right to live peacefully. Our United States have 5 basic principles. The 5 basic principles, one is the value of life. The other principle is the goodness of rightness. The other principle is justice and fairness. The other principle is truth and honesty. The other principle is individual freedom. But that's not enough just to have the principle. We must take action in whatever way we feel is most in line with our beliefs. And my beliefs is that God, and through the Holy Word, he wrote this. He allowed Paul to jot this down in 1 Corinthians 13, 1 and 3. And it says, if I could speak all the language of earth and angels, but didn't love others, I would only be a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. If I had the gift of prophecy, and if I understood all of God's secret plans and possessed all knowledge, and if I had such faith that I could move mountains, but didn't love each other, I would be doing nothing. If I gave everything I have to the poor, and even sacrifice my body, I could boast about it. But if I didn't love others, and I wouldn't have gained nothing. Love is the number one thing. Love. My God is love. And we need to love each other. We need to unite as one, as humans, with the rights of loving. So let us change this world in a peaceful way. Let's stomp out hate and differences and disparities, and let's love each other. Let's change this world because our hearts will be changed. Again, thank you for this opportunity to love on everybody today. Amen.
Thank you again to Pastor Strong Farkas. Your presence and passion is greatly appreciated by all of us. Let's move on to our next speaker. An outspoken community activist, our next speaker is just as passionate protesting on the streets as he is in his synagogue. It's an honor to have our next speaker, Rabbi Jason Van Leeuwen.
Shema Kolenu Adonai Eloheinu Chos v'rachem Aleinu Aleinu v'kabel Merachamim v'ratzon et tefilateinu.
Lord, hear our prayer. Make a fuss over us. Have some mercy upon us. And receive with open arms our prayer. Jews around the world are observing what we call the High Holy Days, the New Year, Rosh Hashanah, and the Day of Atonement, Yom Kippur. It is a day of celebration, but also a day of wariness. For as our liturgy teaches, everyone who travels this earth passes before you, our Creator, one by one, number by number. And so we pray for all who travel this earth, so that one day everyone can sit under their own vine, can sit under their own fig tree, and nothing will terrorize them. They will not be terrorized for who they love or what they believe. They will not be terrorized for being Rohingya, Uyghur, for praying in a Pittsburgh synagogue, or for biking while black. We pray, our Creator, whose spirit is in all creatures, awaken all of our spirits, uproot from our hearts hatred and malice, jealousy and strife. Plant among all of us love and companionship, peace and friendship. May it delight you, our Creator, that we be a blessing for all who dwell on this earth, and to cause each other to dwell in friendship and freedom. Speedily fulfill the vision of your prophet. Lo yisa goy el goy cherev, velo yilmedu od milchama. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they even learn how to fight wars anymore. From all of them, from the least to the greatest, shall know God. And let us say, Amen. We pray for every creature, whether it's a bobcat in the bobcat fire, or whether it's that praying mantis I made friends with this morning. We pray for all who walk this earth. We pray for the prosperity. We pray that you spread a shelter of peace over us, and you bless us with peace. Our Mother, our Father, our higher power, be gracious unto us and answer us, even if we don't deserve it. Do unto us tzedakah v'chesed, justice and loving kindness, but above all, Hoshienu, save us. May it be your will, Lord our God, God of our ancestors, God of all ancestors, that you renew us for a better, sweeter year. Go in peace.
Thank you to Rabbi Van Leeuwen for that touching speech and prayer. How would you like to see the results of our last poll? Why don't we pull those up right now on Zoom? For those of you on Facebook Live who are unable to see the poll, the question was asking about the importance of people's individual faiths. The first question was, it's a turbulent world these days with many challenges. How important do you feel your faith is in overcoming these challenges? 11% responded, with my faith alone, I can overcome all of these modern challenges. 45% responded, my faith is a very important factor in helping me overcome these modern challenges. 34% responded, my faith helps keep me grounded as I work to overcome these modern challenges. Just 2% responded, my faith is not a huge factor in dealing with these modern challenges. And finally, 8% responded, I don't really have a faith, so I don't feel this question applies to me. The second question we asked the people in our Zoom call is, how important is faith, any form of faith, to help guide people in this country or the country you are in for those outside the US? 18% responded, the most important thing to help guide people is to have a faith they can believe in. 42% responded, faith is one of the most important things for people to have in their lives. 26 responded, faith is one of the many things that are important in people's lives. 7% responded that faith should be a part of any person's life to some degree. 3% responded that it's okay for people to have a faith. 3% responded, I don't think faith is important at all. We appreciate everyone tuning in on Facebook Live, but you're welcome to join the Zoom call yourself if you would like to see these polls for yourself. Next, I want to introduce you to Miri's List. Miri's List is a movement of neighbors and friends dedicated to welcoming new arrival refugee families into our community through crowdsourcing solutions. We are delighted to have Miri Whitehill, the founder and executive director of Miri's List, inspiring us today through a pre-recorded interview. Let's watch that now.
Hi there, I'm Miri Whitehill, founder and executive director of Miri's List. We are a nonprofit organization working with families resettling as refugees here in Los Angeles and beyond. Thank you so much for having me come to join you for the Interfaith Solidarity March Los Angeles in 2020. It is an honor to be here, and today my message is going to the beloved families that Miri's List serves, those who have come here as refugees, people who are currently in our program, people who have graduated from our program, and those who will come in the future. This message is for you. It is an honor for everybody at Miri's List to be part of your community support system as you navigate through the major milestone of resettling in a new country as refugees. You have entered a new chapter in your life. It is filled with new adventures, memories, and friendships. We are here. We are people who care about your future. We are currently going through challenging times in this country. Some of us are feeling confused, frustrated, sad, or angry. Learning to navigate this world is not taught in schools, but rather from life experiences. We must learn to expect the unexpected, to find the ways to celebrate. Do not let difficult life experiences stop your education. Persist and achieve your goals. Every experience is a lesson. Some experiences show you what you are capable of handling. Other experiences teach you how to be more selfish and how to speak up for yourself. Life is not easy for everybody. Do not compare your life to anybody else's. The more you surround yourself with people who reflect who you want to be and how you want to feel, the more confident you will be. You are new Americans. You have more life experience than most, and sometimes you may need to be your own role model and inspire yourself. With focus and determination, you will prevail every challenge that you face in life. Things will get better as long as you keep walking forward. Continue to challenge and inspire yourself, because one day, very soon, you will be inspiring many people. Your greatest contribution in this world is simply just being yourself. When the world feels like it's an emotional roller coaster, remember to focus on the good, because the good gets better. We are proud of you for doing something so extraordinary and for doing it so well. You have accomplished so much already, and your family is going to do amazing things in life. Thank you for being here, and thank you for helping.
Thank you to Ms. Whitehill for that video and for the important ongoing work done by Miri's List. For our next speaker, Core Bishop George Betrasho has been serving the Los Angeles community since 1996 as the head of the St. Mary's Assyrian Church in the San Fernando Valley. We're honored to have him speaking here today. Everyone, please welcome him.
Shlama means peace. Shalom from the Aramaic word shlama. Before I start, actually, let me pray. I would like to share with you this prayer, which is Our Father in Heaven in Aramaic, the same language that was prayed originally by Christ our Lord. Shemit Baba Bruna Ruchat Kutshal Amamin, Baban Lishmaya, Nthqadash Ma Htete Malkuthach, Nehwe Suyanach, Eken Lishmaya Bar'a, Haulan Lachmat Sunqanan Yomana, وشكرا خوبين كندا بخنا شواقا خيابين لا تعالى المسيونة إلا بصلا بيشا وطل دلاغي ملكوثا خيلة وتجبخت العالم آمين وآمين. I wanted to share with you this prayer of our Lord in its original form, the Aramaic language. I was myself born in Iraq. I was just hearing Miri's List speak about refugees. I'm a refugee myself. We seek refuge in this country 45 years ago. 1975, we arrived in this country, my family and I. My parish here in Los Angeles, and most of our parishes are made up of refugees, people who came from Iraq, from Iran, people who we have seen firsthand persecutions, we have seen prejudice, we have seen racist people who have truly wanting to hurt others for whatever reason. So we've learned so much firsthand of what it feels like to be persecuted because of your race or your ethnicity or your faith. And that's not who we should be, because that's not what Christ is. Christ has come into the world to give life to the world. He says, I have come so that you might have life, abundantly, in John 10:10. And so what we have done is, us as the servants of Christ, we've kept Christ into our buildings. It's time to let the light out. It's time for Christ to go out to the masses. Even though Christ has been rejected and pushed out of the masses, but it's our duty as his servants to bring him to the masses, not by just preaching, but by living Christ into the masses with love and compassion, understanding, and being tolerant, accepting, and overcoming all the challenges that face us as servants of Christ. Because as soon as we are able to bring that light to the masses, things will change. As long as the world is in darkness, it will never be able to see one another and love one another and do what it's supposed to do for one another, which is serve each other with love. As soon as that light is turned on, through our efforts and our work and our service to the world, things will change. And let us always remember what St. Francis of Assisi said: always preach, when necessary, use words. We've been using too much words, though. God's blessings be upon you. I know we are short on time, but it's been a privilege and an honor to be able to join you today. God bless you.
Thanks to Core Bishop Bet Rasho for sharing with us that prayer and those thoughtful words. Reverend Dr. Shane Kinnison is also passionate about helping to uplift those who struggle to survive. You can hear his passion in this pre-recorded video where he recites for us a very special original prayer. Please enjoy.
Hello, my name is Dr. Shane Kinnison. I serve as Senior Pastor, First Baptist Church of Glendale, California, and I welcome you today to this historic sanctuary at First Baptist Church. It is my privilege today to share with you a prayer of lament that I penned out of my own heart and spirit when I stood at the southern border wall in Tijuana, Mexico. And for the first time, I viewed it as it went across the landscape of the countryside and as it also jettisoned out into the Pacific Ocean. I hope you will join me in this prayer together, a prayer of lament. O God eternal, my soul is distressed. My heart is broken. My anger is enraged when I see that wall. That wall does not reflect your glory. That wall does not imitate your grace. That wall does not mirror your goodness. That wall does not display your generosity. My soul would have fainted had I not seen the ocean. My soul would have fainted had I not seen the mighty sea. My soul would have fainted had I not seen the waves and all their power. For these, O God, for these, O God, for these, O God, these know not that wall. Jubilee, jubilee, jubilee. Amen.
Thank you, Dr. Kinnison, for that powerful prayer of lament. Our very last religious speaker is a teaching professor and a practicing doctor. More importantly, however, he's speaking to us today on behalf of religion that many in the West should learn more about, Jainism. Everyone, please welcome Dr. Nitin Shah.
Thank you. Greetings to all. I hope you can hear me. Jai Janendra. This is a Jain greeting, and it means honor to the supreme Jinas or Tirthankars. Jina refers to a human being who has conquered all inner passions and possessed Keval Gyan, means pure infinite knowledge. This life cycle of millions of years have 24 such Tirthankars. I represent Jain Center of Southern California, located in Vinapur, Anikant Community Center, a non-profit organization formed in 2005 for humanitarian services around the world in Jaina. Jaina is a federation of Jain associations in North America. It has 72 members, and JCSC is one of them, and we are about 150,000 Jains in North America. We believe it is one of the oldest religions that started from India. Thank you for this opportunity. Jains believe in three main tenets. First, ahimsa or non-violence. Non-violence is the supreme religion, and it should extend to all living beings. Lord Mahavira, the last prophet or last 24 Tirthankars, said, "Live and allow others to live. Hurt no one. Life is dear to all living beings." The centrality of non-violence in all that we think, say, and do. Second, the plurality of perspectives called Anikantvad. Rather than the claim that one's own beliefs are absolute truths, there are multiple truths. Respect all opinions, listen to others before reaching a conclusion. Finally, the third, aparigra, that is non-possessiveness. That teaches Jains not to accumulate. Helping others with your wealth, your skills, your possessions should be an integral part of life. Compassionate living is what Lord Mahavira said. I will now take you to so few things that we have been doing to help mankind, being a small numbers of Jain followers in the country, thing that is important. JCSC in 1991 started an annual free community health fair for all. Over 250 people from all faiths take advantage of these services. In 2007, we took the next step and we started a free community health fair with the help of the city of Anaheim. The annual event draws around 1,500 underprivileged people. They not only get medical tests, consultation with specialists, and many other things, but also get free eyeglasses. And for last few years, we started doing filling, cleaning, and extracting teeth right on site. This is all done for free, and Anikant Community Center has done over 300 such missions in 15 countries. Missions will include medical, surgical, dental, and eye care. ACC has impacted over 150,000 lives world over. During COVID-19, we have raised funds for grocery distribution and meals. Our favorite project is actually donation of refurbished Chromebooks to underprivileged children for online learning. So far, we have given over 1,500 in North America, and plans are underway to give another 1,000 or more in coming months in partnership with Saramangal Family Trust. Finally, Jain religion is open. We believe all are Jains and practice at different levels. Our temples are open and welcome people of all faiths. We believe that the message of nonviolence or ahimsa is very relevant in today's life. Hence, over the last 10 years, we've started establishing chairs, endowing professorships, lectureships, postdoc fellowships, etc. We now have presence in over 20 universities in North America. To learn more about Jain faith, please look at some of our websites. jaina.org, Jain Center of Southern California.org, jainelibrary.org, and finally, for Anikant Community Center's activities, anikant.net. Thank you again for this opportunity. Thank you. Jai Jinanda.
Thank you to Dr. Shah for that thoughtful speech and for representing Jainism at today's event. And with that, we come full circle to the close of today's virtual march. To close this circle, we have one last speaker, our opening speaker, and the founder of the Institute for Religious Tolerance, Peace, and Justice, Dr. Arik Greenberg. Before I turn over the reins one last time, I want to express our gratitude to all of you for participating in this march through 15 different faiths and 25 different speakers and performers. I hope you enjoyed this event as much as I did. And with that, to bring this virtual march home, Dr. Arik Greenberg.
Thank you, Peter. I appreciate it. And I want to express my sincere gratitude to all the inspiring panelists and speakers and performers and volunteers who put so much work into this event. This virtual march was made successful by those who worked tirelessly behind the scenes, and I really mean tirelessly. I cannot conceive of a better and more dedicated team of people than those who worked with me this year, and I'm very grateful to them. I'm proud to know you and call you colleagues as well as friends. I also want to thank those who attended and those who helped publicize this event and stuck around till the so-called bitter end, including our partners in other cities and regions and those marching with us overseas. Without all of you, we would just be a couple of friends on a Zoom call. And by the way, I'm going to ad-lib here for a half a second and let everybody know what goes on behind the scenes. There's so much communication going on between the various production people who are all volunteers. We've got not only the Zoom chat going, we've got texts going back and forth. We have the people running the Facebook Live. This is a very, very active. It's almost like being in a TV studio, honestly. So I want to thank all of them. And we will, by the way, have a full video of this entire virtual march event. We will have it up probably in the next couple of weeks. It's going to be edited very soon. So please stay tuned for that if any of you missed part of it and you want to maybe see part of it again. So I'd like to share that I'm really inspired and enthusiastic about events like these. I believe that what we're doing here is changing hearts and minds, building bridges, and building peace from the bottom up in the communities themselves where it really can do some good. My friend Rabbi Zach Shapiro, and by the way, it's a shame I don't think that Ron Galperin is on the call anymore. That's his husband. I was hoping maybe I could just share a little hello to the family. But my friend Rabbi Zach Shapiro once commented that nobody ever won an argument over Facebook. I'm sure that somebody once did, but his humorous observation still holds true. We tend to become entrenched in our viewpoints, and we don't listen to one another. And while social media has opened up myriad ways for people to communicate and interact with others across the world, it also tends to promote tribalism and polarization. One of the things we have tried to do by bringing together diverse voices in these interfaith marches is to encourage peaceful change and reconciliation through respectful sharing and consideration of ideas. My wife Melissa and I were talking last night about a realization that people on the other end of the political spectrum are equally passionate and caring about the state of the world. Many people are so passionate about making changes, as passionate and caring as are we, and they are convinced that they are right, just as we are convinced that we're right. but we have different sources for our opinions, and possibly neither of us have the complete picture. I have seen a decline in civility and respect for human dignity in the last few years. Many of us have seen that. Perhaps people observed this in earlier times as well, in earlier ages, past centuries, but these are our times, and it's disturbing to us. If we are to come to better and more equitable outcomes, reduce the divisiveness in the world today, we're going to have to listen to other people that disagree with us and to see the common humanity in them, even people that we don't like. My friend, Pastor Brad Bailey, the pastor of Westside Vineyard Church, who spoke at last year's march, said, "Tolerance is how we treat those who disagree with us." I have often heard the overused platitude, and I don't mean to disparage anyone who says this because it's valid, but sometimes a bit overused, that tolerance is not enough. That we need more than tolerance in order to save our world. And I think the push for collaboration and cooperation and universal love and everything beyond tolerance is great. It's important. But we won't get there until we have universal tolerance. No one ever died from an abundance of tolerance or even sufficient tolerance. People are harmed when their human rights are not acknowledged or respected, when there is an absence of tolerance. Anything beyond that is advanced material. That's the advanced course. The dessert after dinner. Or to quote Pink Floyd, how can you have any pudding if you don't eat your meat? You don't have to agree with someone, but you do have to respect their human rights. And when anyone's rights are denied, the rights of others will be denied in retaliation. It is a self-perpetuating cycle that escalates. I've often noticed that the interfaith community tends to skew to the left, and that's fine as a progressive movement. In the past few years, I've observed an increase in partners from the more conservative religious communities, and their full inclusion in this movement is going to be crucial to the success of our movement. Lately, I've been interviewing people for my next book, provisionally called Interfaith America, hopefully to be done in the next year. And it's about the interfaith movement and where it's going and what we still need to do, a sort of manifesto for the interfaith movement. I found it striking how many hardcore interfaith or multi-faith, as sometimes the term they use, workers there are in the evangelical communities, but we rarely hear about them. Perhaps they are overshadowed in the news by their less tolerant co-religionists, but sometimes it's our own unwelcoming attitude that makes them shy away from interfaith events where we could meet and work with them. It is crucial that we recognize the work of conservative partners like Pastor Rick Warren, Bob Roberts, and Elijah Brown, who I had the opportunity to interview a few weeks ago, the executive director of the Baptist World Alliance, and to embrace their communities, even if some of us don't like their theology or aspects of their moral stance. As a community, as a nation, we're going to have to learn that it is okay to disagree with people, but we have to respect their lived experience, have civil discussions, and not thrive on divisive rhetoric and interactions as if we were professional pugilists eager for our next fight. If humanity is going to survive and thrive through pandemics, global warming, civil unrest, and violent reactions to our cultural and societal differences, we are going to have to see and respect the common shared humanity in each other and refrain from demonizing each other. Yes, there are people that do bad things, but each of us has a kernel of humanity that if we believe in human rights, we must respect that kernel of humanity. Now, we have some problems in our country, which echo the problems around the world at large in other countries. We're not unique in that. And some of these have to do with our methods of policing and the use of force. I don't know how to solve the problems that we face regarding the nexus between our country's historic endemic racism, police brutality, and the militarization of our police forces. I don't have the answers, but I do know how it will not be solved. By polarization and reducing our conversation partners to enemies and denying their shared humanity. Is it possible for me to support law enforcement, and I do, and still call for stricter policies, updated training, and more accountability of individuals who dishonor their badges? Yes. Just the same as I can support the military, and I do, and yet call for the accountability of those who would torture and murder civilians in war zones, the Robert Baleses and William Calleys of the world, and to challenge the policies that allow and even encourage wartime atrocities. Any individual that dishonors their vows brings disgrace to and endangers the whole organization. We can and must do better. Now, 2 weeks ago, I was profoundly disturbed to hear of the fatal shooting of Dijon Kizi by LA Sheriff's deputies, a black man who, although he had dropped a firearm while fleeing, was by that point unarmed. We can and must do better. I was also disturbed by reports that there are actually gangs that exist within the LA Sheriff's Department, some of which are racially motivated and operate with impunity outside the law. We can and must do better. I am profoundly disturbed every time I see examples of police brutality and overreach, both in the US and abroad. We can and must do better. I was also disturbed last year when the LA Sheriff ended the program where deputies support and interact with interfaith events like ours, effectively putting an end to the presence of some of our longtime and most recognizable friends. Some of you know who I'm talking about. We can and must do better. But I was equally disturbed this morning to learn that someone had shot 2 sheriff's deputies last night, unprovoked. There was no self-defense involved. One of which victims was in fact a young mother of a small child. The sheriff's deputy was a young mother. And that outside of the hospital where these 2 deputies were being treated for their injuries, reportedly in critical condition, there were protesters blocking the entrance, shouting, "We hope they die." This is not okay. We can and must do better. Many of us have worked with sheriff's deputies in our interfaith movement, those who have been with us in previous years' marches. These are friends of ours. I cannot imagine anyone wishing harm on those friends. And similarly, I want to thank Chief Moore and our friends in law enforcement who are here with us today, who took the time to be here, to remind us of their continued commitment to progress and equitable justice. May God bless you and keep you and guide you in your charge to protect and serve. When we descend into lawlessness, it is often the most vulnerable and completely innocent who suffer, not the villains whom the mobs hoped would be held accountable by vigilante justice. Look at Robespierre's reign of terror following the French Revolution, during which many of those who merely worked for someone in power were sent to their deaths under Madame la Guillotine. Or the Russian Revolution, in which not only the aristocracy suffered, but so did the peasants who were co-opted into a movement that shifted the wealth and power to a new set of bullies and strongmen, the Communist Party. Or the Cambodian Khmer Rouge, that some of you may remember in the early 1970s, that not only overthrew the Sihanouk regime, but descended into a racist and classist genocide that brutally murdered upwards of 2 million people, mostly those who were identifiable as being educated. Time and time again, we see a descent into lawlessness, harming the most valuable, the most vulnerable, coupled with a blatant disregard for human rights. Can we protest violence without protesting people? Or perpetrating and propagating our own violence? Yes. I know that we all want change now. Whatever it is that we want changed, we want it now. We're impatient. But our species has been alive for 2 million years in some form, and it has taken time to get to where we are now. No longer living in caves, fighting each other over access to a herd of game animals. But we have to defend against another descent into tribalism, retreating back into our ideological caves. We are going to have to focus on the long game and to see each other as fellow travelers, fellow organisms within a larger entity. We are going to have to continue to be patient and to work towards a common goal with love and compassion. Now, the I Ching, the ancient Chinese Confucian text, counsels against swift and violent attempts at change, which are rarely lasting. Only gradual and well-reasoned change is permanent. Hexagram 53 of the I Ching says, "No influence such as that exerted by agitators has a lasting effect." The Tao Te Ching, a Taoist text, section number 30, also speaks ill of violence as a method of change. Powerful men are well advised not to use violence, for violence has a habit of returning. Thorns and weeds grow wherever an army goes, and lean years follow a great war. For even the strongest force will weaken with time, and then its violence will return and kill it. Now, I don't want our human propensity towards violence to kill us. I want us to survive and thrive for another 2 million years if possible. Earlier, I mentioned the book that I'm writing about the interfaith community. Those of us here in this gathering are writing it together. So how do we want it to end? Where do we want it to go? Our work now is what will help our species and our planet to survive that long. As we bring this event to a close, please enjoy the following video graciously provided by Navpreet Kaur, produced with support by SICNET. Many of its images, very touching images, encapsulate the common humanity that I have spoken of. Blessings to you all.
May this pandemic awaken us to the truth. We are one global human family. May we be brave in our grief. Let our tears flow, tend to each other's wounds, and begin to reimagine a world where no person is disposable and we see no stranger. For this, we lift our voices in one song to the divine within us and all around us, and rise together. A universal prayer by the fifth Guru of the Sikhs, Sabe Ji Samal Apni Meher Kar.
कर अपनी मेहर कर नानक नाम ते आए नानक नाम ते आए प्रभु का सफल कर प्रभु का सफल कर प्रभु का सफल कर प्रभु का सफल